are Locked On Bulldogs, your daily podcast on the Georgia Bulldogs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello again, and welcome back to the Locked On Bulldogs podcast. I am Daniel.
I'm Clint. Hey, thanks for making us your first listen here on Locked On Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, and part of Locked On Atlanta. Hawks fans, sorry. I don't know what to tell you, but
Tough.
But good news. I'm wearing the hat, but this is not the good news. The good news is that we talk Bulldogs, who are still champions, and that won't be taken from us.
The Braves are also still champions, so it's not.
That's true. But I have eyes on the product right now. We're technically the same record as last year, but it doesn't feel the same. Glad you guys are here.
Fine,
we talk like
things are fine.
They're fine.
Come
Ronald
on,
Acuna coming back. We talk like fans do on this podcast because we are fans. Daniel and I are lifelong fans. Him, a very not so lifelong, but very, very diehard, deep dive fan, and myself. And we talk like them. We're not gurus or insiders by any stretch of the imagination. We talk like you guys do. So join us over on the audio side, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, 5-star rating and review. Follow us, subscribe. Also here on the YouTube channel, subscribe, get notifications. Comment below. Let us know you're there, and hop over on Twitter at Dawgs Podcast. Interact with us there. Today, Daniel, we're talking SEC strength of schedule. So we're already looking ahead. Summer's going to be here before we know it, and then gone before we know it, Daniel.
Gone.
And this is for you, fan, because Daniel and I do this every single year. This is about the time that you need to start putting PTO time in for that first weekend of college football kickoff. Okay. And it's not just Saturday.
It's not Saturday. It's Thursday. You get in. You don't want to be working. You do not want to be working a stitch.
Thursday night.
That week.
Thursday night. Be done. Be done, y'all. So get prepared for it. We're going to talk about schedule. We're going to talk about strength of schedule. According to USA Today and the SEC teams that we are most intrigued in. So, Daniel, really quick, I'm going to run down the schedule for those of us who don't know. Season kicks off September 3rd against Oregon. Then we have Samford, South Carolina, Kent State, Missouri, Auburn, Vanderbilt, Florida, Tennessee, Mississippi State, Kentucky, and finishing off November 26th against the Yellow Jacket, the Ramblin' Wreck of Georgia Tech. Daniel, before we get to the strength of schedule for some of these teams and for us, tell me the name on that list of the schedule that gives you the heebie-jeebies the most.
The name on the schedule that gives me, it's the first game. It's always the first game. If the first game were Samford, it would still be the first game. I'm not saying that because it's Oregon. Because it's the first game.
No.
But if I look at the schedule and somebody's going to have to really upset Georgia to beat Georgia. That's what we know.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes. If a Titan comes in, there's a clash of it. I love our position in that, Daniel. I love our position in that.
Yeah, but there are no Titans. That's the whole point of the schedule.
Nope.
Capable of a schedule is probably Oregon. If not Oregon, it might be Tennessee. But let me just say the team that scares me the most on that schedule, and I know that John Tweet Sports will agree with this.
Okay,
it's Mississippi State, probably. That's probably the team that scares me the most on the schedule.
John, I think John's been saying that
State
for years now.
I feel like I've been hearing John for years that Mississippi State is a team that you really need to worry about on the schedule. No, in all seriousness, that's probably the team that gives you the most concern because you don't know.
Look when it's placed. Look when it's placed, Daniel. It comes in between weeks of Tennessee and Kentucky. And you mentioned those are probably the two top teams that scare you the most on the schedule. Auburn don't scare me nothing right now. Sorry. I ain't scared of them. No, I'm not scared of that cocktail party at all this year. But if you're talking Tennessee and Kentucky, those are teams that can put up some points. Defense is going to be highly favored to Kentucky, and Tennessee don't care about nothing on defense. And you're right. Mississippi State is right in between their total trap game. I know we overuse that a lot, but it's true. We overuse it.
And you have no
because it's a
idea
true
what
thing.
Mississippi State's going to be like this year.
None.
Legitimately. If you're listening to this podcast, you have no idea how good Mississippi State's going to be this year. None.
Coach Leach don't know.
None. It's all dependent on if they get a quarterback in there that can run the system. If they do, Clint and I and your elderly aunt could go out there and score points for Mississippi State if they've got a quarterback who can run the system. So
I'll be sweating
you and I don't
if
know.
that's the case.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have no clue. Okay, so let's talk about our strength of schedule. According to USA Today, we have the easiest path in the SEC, Daniel. We have the easiest schedule over all the teams, which is not totally shocking if I'm being
It's
completely
not at
honest.
all shocking.
Sanford, Kent State, not Florida down this year. Auburn going to be down. Missouri really tapering off. Vanderbilt, and then again the two toughest teams, Tennessee and Kentucky, and then Mississippi State. Nobody knows. Based upon previous performance, it's not shocking that we have the easiest schedule according to USA Today. How does that make you feel? How does that sit with you, Daniel? Hearing that we have the easiest schedule.
I mean, look, number one, you have to take into account what this is. Does any other team in the SEC East not have to play Georgia? No, we're the only team that doesn't have to play Georgia. The defending national champion, top 5 ranked Georgia Bulldogs. We're the only team in the East that does not have to play us. So guess what? Our schedule is easier than all of their schedules, because the only way it could be harder is if we had to play Alabama in the regular season, and we don't. So
nope.
You could take out all the teams in the East right there. Of course, we have an easier schedule than them. And then you look at the SEC West, and it's not exactly murderer's row over there in the SEC West.
No, sir.
But Auburn is supposed to be a perennially good team. And let me just kindly say, they are not. They're not any good. Like, Brian Harson's going to have to pull an absolute rabbit out of a hat this year to not lose his job. Auburn does not have a team.
Do you understand? Gus Bus was a thing because that they knew the only way we can be competitive is if we have the funkiest, stupidest offense ever conceived. That's Auburn.
Brother forever. So, we played Kent State, Sanford, and Georgia Tech. Those are 3 of the easiest teams you'll ever play in a non-conference schedule. And then we have a game against Oregon. That's it. That's the game that Georgia has this season that is nationally interesting. The Florida game is nationally interesting because of the rivalry, but it is not going to be a matchup of ranked teams. I do not anticipate.
No.
So Georgia will probably play a couple ranked teams, because the SEC will always have teams ranked, and there'll be some ranked teams. But they won't be ranked teams that anyone nationally really respects. No. So
again, the game that I will be Monday panicking on this podcast. Just mark it now. You set your calendar by it every single year. Okay. Clint will get himself worked up to believing that we are the worst team in America and the wheels are going to fall off the bus against Kentucky every single year. It's a tale as old as time.
Death, taxes, and that, guys. These are the things that you can count on.
We're going to come back, talk about some other teams in the SEC, their strength of schedule, and how it pairs and how it lines up with Georgia. But first, I want to let you know about Athletic Greens. Athletic Greens is a fantastic tasting, mild tropical drink that you get in the mail straight to your door that has incredible vitamins, incredible nutrients. It's for all of you who wanted better gut health. Athletic Greens is for you. I take this stuff. It's fantastic. I have a drink every single morning with my breakfast, with my coffee. Just a little two-fisted drink in the morning, Daniel. Didn't hurt anybody.
Coffee?
No.
Okay.
No.
I was going to say.
Heavens no.
I don't think that's. I don't think
that's not creamer.
That is not the way it's meant to be consumed. But kudos to you. No. I thought maybe you found a little trick.
No, that is not a pro tip. That is not like the freezer edition of Built Bar. Right now, Athletic Greens gives you incredible health. It's what you need. It supports better sleep quality and recovery and it helps support mental clarity. It's fantastic for that. And it was created by the founder, experienced a ton of gut health issues, and ended up in a complicated supplement routine to recover. It cost him $100 a day, and he said, "This is nuts. It now costs $3 a day, just like a cup of coffee," aforementioned, with Athletic Greens. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/college. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/college to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance.
All right, Clint. Georgia's got a garbage schedule. Just in case you need to hear it early, just in case you need to get in on the ground floor.
We ain't played nobody, Paul.
Georgia ain't played nobody is the problem with Georgia.
Played nobody.
They ain't played nobody. And then when they did finally play a team, that team blew them out in the SEC championship game and proved once and for all that Georgia can't hang with the big boys. Georgia can't hang with the likes of Alabama. That is something we know to be true. We know that's true.
If Auburn still had Bo Nix, they would be competitive this year. Okay, we know that. And Mississippi
Oregon does have Bo Nix.
Oh no. The next easiest schedule, according to USA Today, is actually Kentucky. Daniel, Kentucky has the second easiest schedule in all the SEC, according to
Louisville.
USA
ain't
Today.
No good either, Clint. So that's again, when you're hanging your hat on a non-conference matchup versus Georgia Tech or Louisville for Georgia and Kentucky respectively, it's not favorable for you.
I'm going to list you the other games that Kentucky has, and you're all going to – this is embarrassing. Miami of Ohio, Youngstown State.
Oh, no, they're up in Ohio, and they won't leave. They won't leave Ohio.
They're actually going – Ohio's a pretty – look, if you're from Ohio, T's and P's to you, but it's not the best state. They go from Ohio to Florida to Ohio. These are the three states represented in their first – and then they go Northern Illinois, Daniel. That's the first 4 games of their schedule, and then they finish the season against Louisville, as you mentioned.
Miami, Ohio, Youngstown State, Northern Illinois, and Louisville. The reason Georgia has a worse strength of schedule than Kentucky does is because Kentucky plays Georgia, and Georgia plays Kentucky. This is the difference between these schedules, because Georgia has Oregon on the schedule, but Kentucky has Georgia on the schedule, so that makes it a harder schedule. Even though they play literally no one.
Mississippi State, Daniel, as well on the schedule for them, and Ole Miss. Okay, so look again. A lot of people
the
chirping
SEC
about
West,
Ole Miss.
not murderers row. It is not. This is not your grandfather's SEC West. In case anyone's needing to write in, what's happening at LSU, Clint? Anybody?
Oh my!
What's happening? What's old Brian going to do down there year one? What is going to happen with Brian Kelly year one at LSU?
Y'all, really quick, just if you don't think I'm going to BetOnline when the over-under win totals come out, and I'm immediately scrolling to LSU and hitting the under hard.
Excuse me, let me.
Hold on. I don't care what number you put out there. It's going to be under. I don't care. Just give it to me now. Ole Miss, a lot of people talking about them. I don't think anything. I think Dart quarterback, that's going to be – but the Tennessee game, October 29th, mark it. That's going to be Kentucky's. If Kentucky loses that game, it's over. It's done. Because I think they're going to – they slip up against that. I think handle them. That's those – 2 games within 4 weeks, within 1 month of it. They play us November 19th. And then the next easiest after that, Daniel, and this is just, it's funny to say because I don't think you can actually say this is an easy schedule knowing the team, but Florida comes in next on the easiest strength of schedule. It's not going to matter, Daniel.
No, easy strength of schedule does not necessarily imply wins.
No, it does not. Okay. Now, look, they're playing Eastern Washington.
Yeah. Catch that dub.
Again, hold on really quick. Like to put this in perspective, your boy played Eastern Washington on a schedule once. This doesn't bode well for you all. Okay. Utah
no.
on the schedule to kick off the season. And then
Utah
South Florida.
Utah going to beat the fool out of Florida. Utah.
All those there's going to be a brawl because all the Florida natives that then came to Utah to play are going to have a lot of words to say for the Gators. They're going to have
I promise you this, there's going to be a brawl. I don't know who's going to start it, but I know who's going to finish it. And
yes,
his
sir.
name's Kyle Whittingham.
Yes, sir.
Listen, because ain't nobody of any age, of any size, that wants any of that smoke from Kyle Whittingham. I promise you that.
Zero of that. They do play LSU, the aforementioned. We don't think is going to be very high. Texas A&M, who everybody says is going to be good, but again, tell me one time that Jimbo can perform. And then Florida State to finish off the season. And if you all think Florida State has something good cooking, you haven't been paying attention at all.
I'll say this: with LSU, Utah, and Texas A&M on that schedule, I'm surprised that it's that low. I'm surprised that it's rated as the third easiest schedule in the SEC. Now, this is not across the country, right? Mind you, this is just the SEC schedules. But there's some reasonable. And then, of course, they play Georgia, which you didn't mention. That's the best team that they play this year. That's not exactly a vanilla schedule. You compare that, objectively speaking, Georgia fans. You compare that schedule to Georgia's schedule, and that schedule is significantly harder than Georgia's.
That's exactly right.
Significantly harder.
We're going to come back, talk about one more team and maybe some other thoughts about the SEC, but Daniel's going to let you know about BetOnline.
Well, BetOnline is your online sportsbook expert, and they are the place that you go to place all of your online sports wagers. So let's say you're getting into the NBA playoffs and you want to sprinkle a little future. You want to do a little finals matchup wager. So you pick both the teams, one from the East, one from the West. And if that's the matchup in the finals, you win. We're whittling down the teams now. We're whittling some people away. And so take your shots. Who do you think is coming out of the East? Who do you think is coming out of the West? You do all that stuff at betonline.net. They're your online sportsbook expert. They're the only place that Clint and I trust to place all of our wagers online because they are the official sportsbook partner of the Locked On Bulldogs podcast. Over-unders, parlays, prop bets, money lines, whatever you need, a teaser here and there, whatever you need to get started in betting, BetOnline has it. It's easy to make a deposit. It's easy to make a withdrawal when you win. They've got an incredibly user-friendly website, both on the desktop and on the mobile. And so go there right now, betonline.net. Enter the promo code Locked On to get a bonus on your initial deposit. That's Locked On in the promo code section. They give you free money with which to bet. Lets them know that we sent you and helps us out. All at betonline.net, your online sportsbook.
All right, the next easiest strength of schedule comes down to the abject losers of the national championship game, who apparently will have receivers and tight ends and running backs coming back for them. Oh, they're not coming back. They're coming in from the giant portal that Saban had to dip into because he doesn't have enough talent on his current roster that he had to go find 5 other starters. Daniel?
Can't recruit. He can't.
Recruiting down. It's funny. I don't remember transfer portals been around for. I don't remember this being so significant to him until Kirby Smart started doing things his way in his system. And
last year they broke college football.
Oh, they did.
By going to the transfer portal and getting Henry To'o. I don't know if you know that, but literally the articles were written that Nick Saban warned you that this was what was going to happen. And then he went out and broke college football by snatching away the most talented linebacker in all of the country in Henry To'o. And that worked out fine for him. And so why not go back to the well, Clint? If something works the first time, why not go back a second and a third time and pick up Kirby Smart's sloppy seconds? I mean, if that's what you're after, then why not just go and eat his leftovers? if you want.
Sure.
That'd be fine.
Because it's doing this. All right, let's talk about Alabama's schedule. The biggest game on their schedule early on September 10th, Texas. We're going to talk about that here in a moment. They have Texas A&M, clearly. Tennessee, which, I mean, has some interest for me. I'm not going to lie. I think Tennessee is they're always gonna have some sort of spectacle in the first quarter, Daniel. That's all I'm saying. It's not gonna be long,
Okay,
but
fine.
in the first, that's all I'm saying.
You remember when they
Austin,
scored against Georgia to open the game, and boy,
then
people getting real excited there in Rocky Top.
mustard
Really
bottles
fired
were
up.
close to not being needed. Austin Peavy and Auburn to end the year. Daniel, I'm going to talk about the Texas game really quick. We'll talk about Alabama. Alabama's going to cruise through this schedule. Let me just say it right now. They are going to cruise through
Hot
this
knife
schedule.
through butter. Like,
They
listen, Bryce Young, Will Anderson. These are all that you need to beat all those teams that you just named, Clint.
That's it.
That is all. If neither of those guys get injured this year, they cruise through that schedule.
Ticket punch to Atlanta right now with those guys being healthy. Will Anderson's going to kill fools over against Austin Peavy. He's going to play 5 snaps. Tennessee has no hope. Hooker better be praying that he has that quick release practice down. It's going to be slaughtering all across the board. But the Texas game, do you remember when USC a couple years ago played Bama to start the season, and everybody thought, "Oh, this is going to be a game.
It's gonna be a good game.
Oh, watch out! This is gonna be. They're gonna sneak up on you." And then USC came out, acted like a whole bunch of feral cats to come out of the tunnel, and promptly got whooped.
Waxed.
Bad.
They got waxed. That's what they did, Clint. Now, I will say this.
Yeah.
Do you remember 2 years ago, 2019, when Texas played LSU to open the season? Joe Burrow and LSU.
Yep.
That was probably the best football game of that season. That and the LSU Florida game were both very entertaining games. But that LSU Texas game, one of the most entertaining, and Texas looked good in that game, Clint. And then as the season went on, you realize how good LSU was. You began to realize, oh, that was a really good showing by Texas, which just goes to show you it's in there for Texas. But I cannot imagine a scenario when it comes out against Alabama. I just can't. I can't imagine.
Everybody talking about these transfers coming into Texas, and everybody talking about Arch Manning come play at Longhorns because of all these offensive weapons, and Ewers comes back down from Oklahoma, and yada 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 yada. Look, Daniel, again, I've heard this song played before. Okay, 1, it's Texas. 2, it's transfer portal stuff. It's kids coming in. It's 3, it's Sark. I mean.
Oh, sorry.
Right.
Yes.
4, it's Texas. Again, let's go back to point 1. Point 1. I've heard this song. I don't believe it. I think there's going to be so much hoopla around this game. It's going to be a circus. And Will Anderson is going to plant people, that running back and that quarterback combo, into the ground. Sark ain't going to know what hit him. He's not going to put his name on the side of list of assistants that have beaten Nick Saban. That's not going to happen. Hot knife through butter. You already said.
Has Nick Saban ever beaten an assistant at this point? Has Nick Saban? I mean, what's his record against his previous assistants in his last handful of games?
I just ask you, what has his defense been anything near what it was historically from like the early 2011, 2012, 2013 season? He lost somebody along the way.
Well, you can't play defense in this day and age in college football, Clint. It's impossible to hold teams under 17 points. You can't do that.
You can't do that. No.
If you're Nick Saban, you can't do that. You can't do it.
Well,
you're not capable.
To be fair, Nick Saban never has done that. Somebody else did.
What?
Nick Saban hasn't. Somebody else did.
No.
Daniel.
That doesn't sound right.
Doesn't sound right.
This is football season is not here. It's not almost here. why do I feel like I've got a bit of a momentum going right now?
Because we talked schedule, we talked dates, we talked PTO, we started doing all that, and it just got us going.
All right. We got more to talk about this week. We will be back. We're talking about some NFL draft stuff tomorrow, getting ready for the NFL draft later this week. I don't know if you know this, but some Georgia Bulldogs are going to get their names called, I think, in the NFL draft. Is that right? Yeah.
It would be safe to say.
I think it would be safe to say that's going to happen. We're going to talk about some over-unders. Where do we think people's names are going to get called? Do a little wager. Maybe put a little side action on it. You like to see it. All right.
Yeah.
Come back tomorrow. We'll see you then here on Locked On Bulldogs podcast.